This is Matt for Into Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by welterweight Luke Evans. Luke, first time I met you today, we're here in Matt Hatton's gym. You've been working away with Campbell, bit of an intense session. Talk me through it, how's things going?
Yeah, really well. Obviously I'm in preparation for my 12th professional fight on March the 12th in Bolton. It's a Steve Wood VIP show. Just really working hard and I'm looking forward to getting back in the ring, yeah.
What's it like working in this gym? You've got the likes of obviously Matt Hatton, you can soak up all that experience. You've got Campbell there, he's intense. You've just seen you both helping each other with the work in the ring. What's it like being in this gym and obviously learning from Matt?
Yeah, first of all, it's a privilege to work with Matt. I've known Matt for years. I grew up watching him on telly on Sky Sports. He's a former European champion in his own right, and obviously we've got young Campbell coming through now, the little whippersnapper as I call him. He reminds me of myself when I was his age, you know. So we work well together and we're working very hard for our fights, yeah.
Have you managed to give Campbell any advice? Because obviously you just mentioned to me as well off camera that you remember when you started off very young, you know, inexperienced. Have you been able to pass anything on to him where, you know, he can really take on board to help him in his career? Because he's still early days as well. Yeah,
well, obviously Campbell, he's got a huge pressure on his shoulders. Obviously, the start of my professional career, I didn't really have any expectations. But the thing with probably comparison is we both started and we was all guns blazing in our early fights. So now I've had 11 fights and I've kind of, you know, slowed things down and learned the professional side a little bit more. My advice to Campbell would be just to slow things down and obviously enjoy it more. Boxing's a short career and we never know what's around the corner, so just slow things down and just keep working hard, yeah.
You mentioned yourself there, you're undefeated in 11 fights. You'd be looking to be a bit more active. I spoke to you just a little bit as well about you had a bit of inactivity between 2019 and you had 2 years out of the ring due to whatever things. How's that affected you? Did you manage to, was there times where you struggled maybe for motivation in between? What was that period of sort of absence from the ring like?
Yeah, it was quite tough mentally and physically. I mean, physically I put a load of weight on. I didn't think I was going to fight again. And obviously mentally it was quite tough because I didn't really have any vision. I didn't have anybody kind of believe in me. I didn't have the arm around the shoulder that I think I needed at that time. So getting back was quite tough. But once I started getting back into training and getting back into the gym, all them outer ring, obviously out the ring, the documentary side of it, when I got back into training, you know, I just fell back in love with the sport, and obviously now I'm working with Matthew. He's getting the best out of me, as seen in my last performance, and I just want to take that forward now and keep improving and see where I can end up, yeah.
You've also mentioned to me you're a dad as well. Now, I know how hard that can be just juggling, you know, a job like this, but obviously you're a full-time boxer, you need to give it your all to get the best out of your career. So how have you found juggling, you know, father life and, you know, getting into the gym and doing the graft?
I won't lie, my little one, she's 2 years old, but she's bloody hard work, I'm not even going to lie. But obviously I've got a very supportive partner at home, Stacey. You know, she really motivates me, and I want to do it for Stacey and my daughter Sienna. You know, they're my motivation, and you know, I give everything my all, and every time I step foot in this gym I give it 110%. I won't give it any less. And obviously Matthew, he's my second eyes, so if anything I'm, you know, failing in or not doing well in, you know, he'll pick me back up and he'll get the best out of me. But everything I do is for them too, and hopefully, you know, I can be very successful and win a couple of titles and retire with a few quid in the bank for them, yeah.
Yeah, that's the dream, innit, when you're a boxer. You know, we mentioned a lot about timing and getting the right fights so you can, you know, have a life after boxing that you can, you know, enjoy. We talk about obviously experience and stuff like that. We know that Matt's fought the likes of Canelo, mentioned European champion. Obviously you've got Campbell here, whose dad's obviously, we know what Ricky Hatton's done. Yeah. Is there a particular fighter who you watched growing up, or one that you study now, who you know take the, you know, who you study and maybe try and practice and implement that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously growing up as an amateur boxer, I watched a lot of the Manchester boxers. So like obviously Matthew, Ricky, Anthony Crolla, you know, young Stephen Foster. You know, even touch back in on to the Viking, Foster Senior. You know, these fighters, Jamie Moore. You know, I idolise these kids growing up. I'm from Salford originally, so obviously Jamie Moore and Steve Foster Jr. and Senior, they was my like role models. But obviously I had the chance to work at Ricky's gym, and obviously now here with Matthew, I'd probably say the Manchester-based fighters. But if I was a bit biased and won't say the Manchester fighters, I'd probably say someone like Miguel Cotto. left hook to the body. It's kind of my amazing punch. Yeah, that's what I like to think. I've got a good left hook to the body, so I'd probably say Cotto. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad one to pick. He was one of mine as well. Talk about how far you are off challenging for titles. You mentioned the likes of Commonwealth and British and stuff like that. Are you wanting to go that route and sort of build your way up to eventually, I suppose your aspirations will be eventually to get a shot at a world title?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, I'm never going to look that too far forward, because in boxing you could be up the ladder 1 minute and then right back at the bottom the next. But obviously I've got a good coach in Matthew who believes in me. I think the next 12 to 18 months will be sort of crucial in my career in terms of where I'm going to kind of be positioned in the boxing rankings. Ideally, I'd like to do it the British route, so that's obviously like maybe area titles or English titles, and then obviously look at opportunities maybe with the WBO, WBA, sort of give me a world ranking. If I can't obviously fight for the British down the line, then that's the route I'd take. But any opportunity that makes sense financially and obviously career-wise, you know, with the right notice, I'd be willing to accept. Because I'm not in it to really make the numbers up. I'm in it to, you know, win titles. I believe in myself, and Matthew believes in me. So let's see where we can end up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things Matthew said as we were watching you do your work. He said, you know, keep an eye on him. He's a really good kid, and that must give you loads of confidence with a coach like that. I want to touch on a big fight that's coming up in what would have been probably welterweight a few years ago, Kell and Amir Khan. Talk to me about that fight. Obviously, people are always talking about it's 5 years too late, but as it's getting closer, I think the excitement is still there for it. What do you think happens in that fight?
Obviously, Matthew's boxed Kell Brook, and you know, Matthew will tell you firsthand how strong a fighter he is, and that's the last thing you lose as a fighter is your strength. But I think Khan's speed, you know, is very underrated, and I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. If there's one criticism I have got of Khan, is his footwork is kind of slowed down. He's not really as springy as he once was. He's a bit more flat-footed now, which may play into the hands of Kell Brook. But Kell Brook has sustained quite a few eye injuries over the years, and I think with Khan's volume of punches, especially straight punches, you know, I kind of fancy Khan ever so slightly.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think the build-up and everything like that, that'll be exciting as it gets close to the time. Just before we go, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media if you are on social media, and they can follow you, get behind you, and keep an eye on obviously your career and what you're doing next.
Yeah, Instagram at Luke Evans Boxer and Twitter at Evo Evans Boxing 1. And yeah, I'm fighting on March the 12th in Bolton, so hopefully people can get in touch and come down and support me and keep the fan base growing, and yeah, I'm sure it'll be a great night.
You heard it here first. Give him a follow and keep an eye on his progression. Luke, thanks for talking to Into Boxing, and we'll catch up again, bud.
My pleasure, thank you very much.